For decades, America understood off-road strength in one simple way: a ladder frame, a roaring engine, locking differentials, heavy axles, and enough steel underneath to make the vehicle feel almost indestructible. That formula built legends. It gave Jeep its battlefield mythology, Ford and GM their truck culture, and Mercedes its six-figure mountain climbing status symbol. But there is a dangerous assumption hidden inside. That old recipe, that rugged capability, must always be mechanical, heavy, loud, and slow to evolve. Jetour's new off-road concept challenges that assumption directly. This is not just another Chinese SUV trying to look aggressive on a showroom floor. It represents a different philosophy of survival mobility, one built around independent electric drive, software-controlled traction, extreme maneuverability, and a range extender system designed to erase the deepest fear of electric off-roading: being stranded far from a charger. For Detroit Jeep Land Rover, and even the electric truck startups, this is the uncomfortable warning. The next off-road war may not be won by the strongest axle or the loudest V8. It may be won by the vehicle that can calculate grip faster than a human can react. The first thing that makes Jetour's off-road concept feel different is not the powertrain. It is the posture. Traditional luxury off-roaders still try to balance toughness with elegance. They soften the edges, polish the grille dress, the cabin, and leather, and remind buyers that the vehicle can survive a mountain trail even if most of its life is spent outside a restaurant in Los Angeles. Jetour moves in the opposite direction. The design language feels more like a tactical platform than a premium SUV. The body is squared off, dense, and almost armored in attitude. The widened stance, high ground clearance, hard geometric surfacing, and military-like proportions send a clear message: this machine is not asking to be admired. It is asking to be deployed. Inside, the same philosophy continues. Instead of old-world luxury built around wood trim and heritage badges, the cabin aims for a command center feeling functional, digital, and intentionally severe. It looks less like a vehicle designed to comfort a country club owner and more like a machine built for remote terrain, harsh weather, and long-distance isolation. But the exterior is only the bait. The real threat is not the shape of the body. The real threat is the architecture underneath it, a chassis philosophy that treats off-roading less like a mechanical tradition and more like a real-time computation problem. To understand why this matters, you have to start with the old 4x4 formula. In a traditional off-roader, power begins in the engine, passes through the transmission, moves into a transfer case, then travels through drive shaft's axles and differentials before it finally reaches the tires. For decades, that chain of hardware was treated like sacred engineering. The more metal you had underneath, the more serious the vehicle seemed. But every mechanical chain has a weakness. It adds weight. It creates delay. It introduces stress points. And when one part of that system is overloaded on a brutal trail in Colorado or a frozen logging road in Michigan, the entire vehicle can become hostage to one broken component. Jetour's concept attacks that entire structure at the root. Instead of sending power through a long mechanical pathway, the vehicle uses a quad-motor layout with electric drive units controlling the wheels independently. In the most aggressive version, described around this platform, the system is claimed to produce roughly 1,280 horsepower, turning a heavy off-road machine into something that can accelerate like a supercar. But the real disruption is not the 0 to 60 number. Straight line speed is a headline. Independent wheel control is the weapon. A Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, a Ford Bronco, or even a Mercedes G-Wagon still depends heavily on mechanical logic. Lock the differential, manage wheel spin, choose the right mode, and hope the hardware can move torque where it needs to go. That system can be brilliant, durable, and proven, but it is still reactive in a physical way. A quad-motor layout changes the battlefield. Each wheel can receive power without waiting for a transfer case or differential to distribute it. The vehicle does not have to ask a mechanical system to compromise between wheels. It can command each corner separately. That is why this technology is dangerous for legacy off-road brands. It does not merely improve the old formula, it steps around it. It suggests that the future of traction may not be a stronger axle, a tougher gearbox, or a louder engine. It may be the end of the axle as the center of off-road authority. The old off-road world was built around one central question. How do you keep torque moving when the ground stops cooperating? Mud steals traction. Sand absorbs momentum. Snow turns weight into a liability. Rock crawling can lift one wheel into the air and leave the other three fighting for grip. For decades, the answer was mechanical locking. Lock the differential force, the wheels to rotate together, and hope that at least one tire can bite hard enough to pull the vehicle forward. It is a rugged solution, and in the hands of a skilled driver, it can still be brutally effective. But it is also a compromise. A locked differential does not truly understand the terrain. It only forces a mechanical relationship between wheels. Jetour's quad motor logic changes that relationship completely. If each wheel has its own electric motor, then each wheel can receive its own torque command. The system does not need to lock two wheels together and hope for the best. It can reduce power at one corner, add power at another, and keep adjusting the balance in real time. That is the real meaning of software-defined off-roading. The vehicle is no longer simply reacting through gears and shafts. It is reading the surface, calculating grip, and distributing force like a nervous system, sending signals to four separate limbs. Imagine a trail in Colorado after heavy rain. One tire is pressed against dry rock, another is buried in mud. The rear wheels are sliding sideways, and the driver has only a few seconds before momentum disappears. In a traditional 4x4, that moment becomes a test of throttle control, differential locks, and luck. In a quad motor system, the vehicle can make hundreds of tiny torque decisions before the driver even understands what is happening. This is why legacy brands should pay attention. The threat is not that software makes off-roading easy. The threat is that software may begin solving terrain problems faster than mechanical systems can respond. If quad motors attack the old definition of traction, the steering system attacks something even more basic, the geometry of movement itself. Western automakers have already experimented with this idea. The Hummer EV's crab walk became famous because it allowed a massive electric truck to move diagonally at low speed. For a vehicle that large, that was not meaningless. It helped in tight spaces, made the truck feel more advanced, and gave GM a headline feature in the electric off-road race. But diagonal movement is only the first step. Jetour's concept pushes the logic further by combining aggressive rear-wheel steering with independent electric drive. When the rear wheels can turn sharply and the left side motors can rotate in one direction, while the right side motors rotate in the opposite direction, the vehicle is no longer limited to the turning circle of a traditional SUV. It can pivot. That sounds like a stunt until you put it in a real American trail scenario. Imagine a narrow Colorado mountain road. The path ends suddenly. There is rock on one side, a drop-off on the other, and no room for a three-point turn. In a conventional off-roader, even a legendary one, the driver may need to reverse carefully for hundreds of feet, hoping the tires do not slip and the rear bumper does not meet the cliff edge. A tank turn system changes the psychology of that moment. Instead of fighting space, the vehicle creates space. It rotates around its own axis, points itself back toward safety, and drives out. That is not just convenience. That is a new kind of mobility. It makes traditional steering feel like a negotiation with the environment, while software-controlled electric drive turns movement into a command. For legacy off-roaders, that is a deeply uncomfortable shift. This is where traditional off-road purists raise the strongest objection, and they are not wrong. Electric torque sounds impressive on pavement. Quad motors sound futuristic in a concept video. But out beyond the last gas station, beyond cell service, beyond the reach of a flatbed truck range, is not a specification. Range is survival. That is the weakness Western electric off-roaders still struggle to erase. A Rivian R1T, a Ford F-15, Lightning, or a Hummer EV can deliver shocking acceleration and serious capability. But once the battery starts dropping deep in the wilderness, the driver is not thinking about horsepower anymore. He is thinking about distance temperature, mud resistance payload, and how far away the nearest charger might be. In Michigan, winter cold weather can punish battery efficiency. In the desert, southwest sand and heat can drain energy faster than expected. On a muddy trail, every wheel spin becomes wasted range. And in rural America, DC fast chargers are not waiting at the end of every forest road. This is why many hardcore drivers still trust gasoline or diesel, not because they hate technology, but because fuel can be carried, stored, poured, and found in places where high-voltage charging simply does not exist. For electric off-roading to truly threaten the old order, it cannot just be powerful. It has to solve the fear of being stranded. This is where Jetour's strategy becomes more dangerous than a normal electric truck strategy. The concept does not depend entirely on a battery pack and a charging network. It uses an extended range electric architecture, which means the wheels are still driven electrically, but an internal combustion engine can operate as an onboard generator. That distinction matters. In a traditional hybrid, the gasoline engine may help drive the wheels through a mechanical transmission. In this kind of range extender setup, the engine is no longer the muscle. It becomes a power plant. Its job is to run in a more efficient operating zone, generate electricity, and feed the battery and motors when the vehicle needs more energy. For off-roading, that changes everything. The driver still gets the instant torque, fine control, and independent wheel response of an electric drivetrain. But when the trail gets long, when the weather turns hostile, or when the nearest charger is nowhere on the map, the vehicle is not trapped inside a battery-only equation. It can keep converting liquid fuel into electricity. That is why the claimed long-range figure around this platform is so provocative. If an off-road machine can combine electric crawling control with roughly 1,400 kilometers of total range under ideal conditions, it attacks the deepest psychological advantage of gasoline trucks. It tells the driver you do not have to choose between electric precision and fuel-based survival. For Detroit, this is the part that should be studied carefully. The threat is not simply that China is building electric off-roaders. The threat is that Chinese engineers are using range extender logic to bypass America's charging weakness before America has even finished fixing it. A Ford F-150. Lightning may be brilliant in the right use case. A Rivian R1T may be deeply capable. A Hummer EV may be brutally powerful. But if the battlefield is a remote trail, an empty desert road, or a hunting route hundreds of miles from fast charging, the question changes. It is no longer which EV has the biggest battery. It becomes which electric vehicle can survive when the grid disappears. That is the strategic danger of the EREV approach. It does not reject combustion. It demotes combustion. The engine no longer controls the wheels. It serves the electric system. And that may be the bridge technology Western off-roaders underestimated. The range extender solves movement, but off-road survival is not only about movement, it is also about what happens when the vehicle stops. This is where vehicle-to-load capability becomes more than a convenience feature. In a city, V2L might power a laptop, a small appliance, or a campsite coffee maker. But far from the grid, it becomes a mobile energy reserve. Lights, heaters, cooking equipment, recovery tools, communications gear, all of these can become part of the vehicle survival ecosystem. That matters deeply for the American use case. Think about a hunting camp in Montana, a storm blackout in rural Texas, or a winter trail situation where staying warm becomes more important than reaching the next overlook. A traditional gasoline truck can carry fuel, but it does not naturally become a high-capacity electric supply hub without extra equipment. A pure EV can provide power, but every watt used at camp is a watt taken from the drive home. The EREV idea changes that equation. If the vehicle can generate electricity on board, then the off-road machine becomes more than transportation. It becomes a base station. It can move power tools, support camp life, and still preserve a pathway back to civilization. That is why this technology feels bigger than one vehicle. It turns the off-roader from a mechanical animal into a mobile infrastructure system. When all of these systems are placed together, the message becomes much larger than one off-road concept. Quad motors attack the old axle. AI torque vectoring attacks the old differential. Tank turn capability attacks the old turning radius. The range extender attacks the old weakness of electric range. V2L attacks the idea that a truck is only a machine for movement. That combination is why this matters to the American market. For decades, off-road dominance was protected by heritage. Jeep had history. Ford had truck loyalty. GM had scale. Land Rover and Mercedes had premium adventure mythology. These brands did not just sell vehicles. They sold trust, memory, identity, and a belief that ruggedness came from mechanical tradition. Jetour's concept does not respect that hierarchy. It treats off-roading as an engineering system that can be redesigned from the ground up. The vehicle does not ask whether the axle has enough reputation. It asks whether 4 independent motors can solve the terrain faster. It does not care how famous the badge is. It cares how quickly software can move, torque rotate the body, and preserve energy off-grid. That is why this is not just a Chinese concept trying to enter a crowded SUV market. It is a warning shot. It suggests that the next generation of off-road capability may come from computation, not nostalgia. This is the uncomfortable part, for the old off-road world. Heritage is powerful, but physics does not care about heritage. A Jeep badge can carry battlefield memory. A Land Rover can carry expedition mythology. A Mercedes G-Class can carry the image of old-world toughness wrapped in luxury. A Ford or GM truck can carry generations of American loyalty. None of that is meaningless. These brands earned their place because they built machines that survived real work, real trails, real weather, and real punishment. But the danger begins when heritage becomes a shield against change. A locking differential is still useful. A solid axle still has advantages. A V8 still gives drivers emotional confidence. But none of those things automatically solve the next generation of off-road problems. They do not calculate grip at each wheel in milliseconds. They do not rotate a large SUV on its own axis. They do not turn liquid fuel into electric driving range while preserving independent motor control. They do not transform a vehicle into an off-grid power node. That is the difference between tradition and architecture. Tradition tells the buyer what a vehicle used to mean. Architecture determines what the vehicle can actually do. And this is where Western automakers face the hardest question. Are they defending old technology because it is still the best answer, or because it is still the most profitable story? Because if Chinese companies can keep combining software motors, batteries, range extenders, and off-grid utility into one platform, then the premium off-road market could be forced into a painful reset. The badge may still sell the dream, but on a frozen trail in deep mud or miles beyond the last charger, the dream does not move the wheels. Engineering does. The off-road benchmark is moving. It is moving away from the loudest engine, the thickest axle, and the oldest badge. It is moving toward independent motors, software-defined traction onboard energy generation, and vehicles that behave less like mechanical tools and more like mobile survival systems. That does not mean Detroit is finished. It does not mean Jeep, Ford, GM, or the Western off-road tradition suddenly have no value. But it does mean the old formula is no longer protected by history alone. If America treats this as just another strange Chinese concept, it will miss the real signal. The signal is not the shape of the vehicle. The signal is the architecture. The next off-road war may be decided by who controls torque energy software and range at the same time. And if the West waits too long to answer, the age of mechanical off-road supremacy may not end with a crash. It may end quietly, one obsolete axle at a time.